Now the first thing that we need to check is that we need to compare the password. We need to compare the password with the confirmed password and make sure that they match. So I'm going to say here if, and then if password is not equal to the confirmed password, then we need to display an error. We need to say header, and then header, and then location, and then register.php, and then I'm going to pass a get parameter. I'm going to say error. So error is going to be equal to passwords don't match. Match. And then I'm going to check another error, which is the length of the password. So if the password, if str length, and then password is smaller than, let's say, 6 characters, then I'm going to tell the user you cannot use a password that's less than 6 characters. So I'm going to say here header again, and then location, and then register.php, and then I'm going to say error is equal to password must be at least 6 characters. So let's display these errors. So how can you display these errors? You can use the get parameters here above the form. Just below the opening tag of the form, you can say here p paragraph, and then you can here say PHP, and then you can say echo, and then what do we want to echo? We want to echo the get parameter, the get error, and then we need to give this paragraph a color. I'm going to say style color red, because this is an error. Let's test this part, or let's continue first. I think we need to continue first because it's going to take some time. So let me continue first, and then we are going to test later. So this is going to check whether if passwords don't match, and here this is going to check if password is less than 6 characters. 6 characters. And then if there is no error, you can, by the way, add many errors. You can customize this depending on what you want to check. But I think these are the most important things. Then if there is no error, we can here start with the registration process. So the registration process is that we need to get these and then insert them into the database. So to do this, we need to start a connection. So to start a connection, we need to include, remember, we need to say here include, and then we need to include the server / connection, and then we need to use the connection variable. We need to say here con, and then we need to call a function called prepare, and then we need to insert into into what table? Into the users table. We need to insert into the users table, this users table, user ID, name, email, and password. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say insert into users, and then what do we want to insert? We want to insert the name, email, and password, and the ID will be given by the database. So we need to say the first one is user underscore name. The second is user underscore email. The third is user underscore password. And here we need to say values. What are the values? The values are question marks because I'm going to be using the bind. So I'm going to say here con. I'm going to say here statement. I'm going to store this in a statement. I'm going to say stmt is equal to con, and then I'm going to use this statement, and then I'm going to say bind param, and the parameters are three parameters: the username, the email, and the password, SSS. And then we need to pass the email, first the name, and then email, and then password. However, there are two important things that we need to do before this. So these two things are: first, the password must be hashed. So in order to hash the password, we need to say here, we need to say MD5 and then pass the password. This is going to hash the password. This is very important. And this is one of the best practices of PHP when it comes to security. And if you want to find out more about best practices in PHP when it comes to security, you can take my course about the best practices of PHP, the best security practices of PHP. I'd highly recommend taking this course because it's gonna teach you very important things that you need to take into account whenever you are working with PHP in order to avoid being hacked and in order to protect your systems and your websites and your web applications. Anyways, we need now to do a very important thing, which is check before doing this. This is gonna create a new user. However, before creating a new user, we need to check whether there is a user with this email or not, because we cannot register the user with many users with the same email. So to do this, we need to create another statement. We need to say here con, and then we need to say prepare, and then select all from users where email is equal to question mark. And then I'm going to pass here the question mark. I'm going to say stmt1 is equal to this. And then I'm going to say stmt1 bind param, and then s, and then comma, and then email. And then I'm going to say here stmt, and then execute. And then I'm going to say statement, and then bind result, and then I'm going to say num underscore rows, and then statement, and then fetch, and then finally I'm going to say if num browse is not, if it's not equal to 0, then we need to display an error. So I'm going to say here header, and then location, and then register.php, and then error, and then I'm going to say user with this email already exists. And here, by the way, we need to say count, and then star, because we aren't interested in getting information. We are interested only in getting the number of rows. We need to find whether there's an email whether there's a user with this email or not. If there is, then we need to stop. Else, we need to continue. So here we need to say header location register.php and display this error in case the number of rows is not equal to 0.